The Do This podcast is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network. Join Bob Stewart and Chad Hyams as they jump into the world of recruiting with expert Dawn Krause. Dawn is a seasoned real estate expert with over 25 years of experience in the industry. Learn how to attract and retain top talent to scale your real estate business efficiently and profitably. Discover the importance of crafting the right elevator pitch, leveraging co-op agents, and utilizing time management effectively. We hope you enjoy this episode of the Do This podcast, presented by Brivity.
Hey, hello, Chad Hyams.
Bob Stewart.
Dawn, good to see you.
Hello, Bob. Hello, Chad. Good afternoon.
Hey, before we dive in here, I just have to tell everybody that's watching, we have like a little interaction before we kick off. Oh, you can't see it because Dawn just slightly moved her camera.
Here.
Okay,
that's
so
too far. No, he only wanted to see.
Yeah, give it to me. It was like that photo was over Dawn's shoulder, and I'm like, hey, Dawn, what is that? It didn't even have the H. All it had was the C. And I'm like, is that like a picture of Pebble Beach or something? And Chad goes, it's probably one of those motivational posters that says something like challenge on it.
That's exactly
it literally says challenge. Like, Chad Hyams, never play this guy in Wheel of Fortune. I'm telling you, that was really impressive. All right. Sorry. That was just too impressive, Chad, to let you know. Dawn, do me a favor, as we do every week when we kick off, do this. We're going to talk recruiting with Dawn today. But Dawn, do me a favor, introduce yourself and kind of share with everybody who is our awesome guest today.
Okay. All right. So I'm Dawn Krause. I am in St. Louis, Missouri. I have been in real estate for 25 years. I was a therapist before I got into real estate, which has...
You still are.
Well, still are.
Good
Yes,
background.
I am. Yes. So I moved to, I started with a traditional brokerage for the first 8 years, moved to Keller Williams in 2009, 17 years. And where that comes into play is because our topic is recruiting. So while I came in 09 with a team, 2010, I got into market center leadership. So I own 3 KW offices. I launched 2 of them. And I've been basically a different version of a team leader or a recruiter for the last 16 years. I've probably done over close to 7,000 recruit appointments by now. So I've worn a lot of different hats in the recruiting realm, and I have a team in St. Louis, Missouri. So our team did 213 units last year, and I am very, very blessed to be a growth leader with Place. So recruiting is my jam. I know I'm one of the weird people that when you sit in a room full of hundreds and even more than that, and people say, who actually likes to recruit? There's like me and 3 other people that raise their hand. Everyone else is like, I love it. And the reason I am so addicted to recruiting is because I believe that recruiting is nothing more than understanding the person on the other side of the conversation. Where are they now? Where have they been? Where are they now? Where are they looking to go? And a recruiter is really intended to just be someone who understands where someone is and where they want to be, and just be able to bring them solutions and open doors that if you wouldn't have had the conversation, they may not have ever found their way through that door. And it can be so life-changing. And that's what got me so addicted to recruiting, was just the number of lives that can be changed through the conversation. And like I said, I've been doing this inside of for probably 16 years or so now. And it really is my passion. And I was a therapist before real estate. So helping people is what I love to do.
Bob,
Okay,
I want to jump in here and just say, because I don't want anyone to stop listening to this episode going, oh, I don't want to recruit, right? I'm not a recruiter. I'm not growing my brokerage and stuff. Folks, if you're going to be a top agent, which is who we are talking to on these Brivity calls, you will not achieve that level alone, which means you will be recruiting. You may call it hiring if you're looking for someone who's like an office part or an administrative piece, or it is recruiting when you are finding buyers agents, listing agents, and partners to join you on your growth. Because here at Brivity, we're not talking to the person doing 3 deals a year. We're talking to the people who are wanting to use this tool at the highest level. you're going to need recruiting at some point in your business. So don't turn this off going, oh, she's talking about recruiting to Keller Williams because they all recruit. No, that's not. She's just giving you what she's done for so many years and how we can apply it to your situation that's either here now or coming soon.
Chad, thank you for clarifying that. And one of the things that I would add is the size of any of our worlds is directly correlated to the level of talent with whom we get into business. So understanding the importance, if you want your world to get bigger and you want to change lives, you have to know how to get in business with the right people. So call it recruitment, I think kind of has a funky connotation. Call it agent attraction, call it talent attraction. That's going to be the decider of how big your world gets.
Dawn, can I want to go just slightly upstream for just a second, and maybe Chad will give me the latitude to do this because this is kind of his jam. Can you just, I heard you in your introduction. I mean, I'm a hat guy, Dawn. I love a good hat. I got hats all over the place. I got candy cane hats. I got husky hats. I got my place hat. You wear a bunch of hats. I heard a team leader. I'm brokerage owner. I'm not sure if you're still that. I heard place, you go out and help teams explore and learn about place. I would bet you probably sell a house every now and then still. Can you talk for a second about time management and how important that is? And maybe just even tie it into recruiting, because I think there's people sitting there that go, well, I don't know. I run the team. I sell my own real estate. I've got my family at home. Talk about time management for a second, just in general. How do you balance all this stuff?
I think the first and foremost, Bob, is one has to have clarity on where they want to be, where they're going, to then realize, okay, how am I going to show up, and then chunk it backwards? How am I going to show up today in order to get me? What are my commitments in the future, and what are my non-negotiables then, to be able to position those commitments to be a reality? And so I decided years ago, I committed to, I'm not going to be in be myself stuck in a transactional world forever and ever. Amen. To me, there was a lot of stress that came with always wondering, where's the next closing? Where's this? Now, this was long before place, and there was predictable productivity rhythms, and we didn't have Brivity and all of that kind of stuff. And when I got tired of this roller coaster, I said, I want to get really purposeful on succeeding through other people instead of me having to kind of carry the cloak of all of that pressure. In order to do that, I had to learn how to recruit or how to attract the right talent into my world. So I partnered my business partner, Tom. He and I brought our businesses together 10 and a half years ago. He runs the day-to-day of the team. So the time that I spend on the team is really just a few hours a week pouring into the leadership team. So that's one business that is run by someone else. Yes, I still have my 3 market centers. Those are all run by someone else. So I get to spend the lion's share of my time focused on talking to partners about place and how that's going to change their lives and what that's going to do for the place world. So I got very purposeful. I had to know where I wanted to go, and then who did I need? Who was the missing person or persons in my world that I needed to attract in order for those commitments of where I wanted to become a reality? And then your schedule is built around protecting what you need in your world, because it's very easy to, all these hats can definitely pull on one. So when you've got clarity and then you've got the right people in your world to be the protector of, that's how you continue to make that progress.
Chad, I can see you you are waiting to ask something. Go.
Yeah, and it's from something Dawn said early in that piece there. I want you to attempt to explain to the audience the feeling of success and then the feeling of success from others. There is a complete difference of, I went out and I sold a lot of houses. I listed a lot of houses when I was an agent. When I got into a leadership position that involved recruiting, I realized that I could sell 1 house a day as a number, or I could sell 50 houses a day by recruiting people who each went and sold 1 house a day. And there's a completely different feeling of success and satisfaction when it's through others than just doing it on your own. Can you just talk about that drug that's right there for a second so people understand what they should be looking for and why they should be looking?
You just actually took the word. So it's when I was selling the houses, it was like a dopamine hit. It was like, haha, I was in competition for that listing and I won. I was right. It was about that moment and the rush of adrenaline that came in that moment. And then was like, oh, okay. All right. Well, now I got to go create another no. Now I got to when I am getting in business with the right people and succeeding through them, it's like this high that stays high because I'm watching them grow, I'm watching them blossom. I'm using my influence to get them to lean into the productivity rhythms of place, of Brivity, and what that's going to do for their world. And that is way more satisfying to me than just the hit that comes from winning the next listing. Because I know that I'm changing lives in the latter when I'm succeeding through others. So calling it a drug, it's exactly what it is. It's a different kind. The dopamine hit of I sold the listing is like a short term, and the succeeding through others is a much longer, more gratifying feeling.
Dawn,
thank you.
So I want to let's go to some recruiting tactics right now, and I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm just jaded. I've done so many of these. I feel like people show up to this and they're like, all right, Dawn, like, give me the magic bullet, right? Like, what is that thing? What can I go do right now when the call ends? Or so if you had to like identify a magic bullet, and I get there's not one, but like, what's something that anybody and everybody could be doing to go find that next. And I hate recruiting as a word even because like that next partner, that next person that I need to get me to where I want to go. How do I go find that person? What's the magic bullet? And given that I realize there's not really a magic bullet.
Sure. Well, first of all, if I take a listing, I'm never going to sell that listing if no one comes to see the house. So I have to get people engaged in my listing if I ever want to sell it. If I ever want to partner with the right person, I have to get someone engaged and willing to have a conversation. So the first thing that I did is I can pretty easily articulate what is, and depending on if I'm talking to the owner of a team, about potentially talking to me about a place partnership, or I'm talking to an agent about my team, is about having what one might call an elevator speech that's going to engage them. And if I was talking to you, Bob,
talk to an agent who might join your team, because that's who 90% of our people are going to be talking to.
Exactly what I was going to say. So Chad, you're an agent, and I want to start a conversation to see if it makes sense if you're a potential partner.
Because by the way, Dawn, it might not make sense. Like not every single agent out there does Dawn want on her team in St. Louis, right?
That's exactly right. But I don't know that until I engage in conversation, right? So Chad, here's what I'm going to say to you. So Chad, so place, and you can say Sonera Homes, whatever the name of your team is, whatever the name of your organization is. So Place is a business services and technology platform that partners with growth-minded agents who are looking to scale their business and be able to do it more quickly, more efficiently, and more profitably. And Chad, we do that by bringing them the productivity rhythms to grow that business as big as they want to grow it, and be able to give them a path that they never feel like they have to leave in order to continue to have that limitless opportunity, as well as partnering with them on other wealth building opportunities. Is that something you might be interested in exploring? So I keep it very just like you go to a seller and you say, I'm here to sell your house more quickly with less hassle and net you more dollars. What seller is going to say no to that? Well, what agent doesn't want to grow their business more quickly, more efficiently, and more profitably? Through increasing your production, netting you more dollars, and building you wealth. Like there likely isn't, but notice how I started it. We partner with growth-minded. If someone does not want to grow, we are not going to be the right partnership. And frankly, I don't want to even take my time to engage them in any additional conversation. So I'm kind of tailoring my elevator pitch or elevator speech in a way that I'm kind of sharing my avatar. And if someone is growth-minded, I don't know an agent who would not raise their hand and say, yeah, I want to do more transaction more quickly, more efficiently, and more profitably, and build wealth. So first and foremost, we have to have an elevator speech that is going to resonate. If I'm standing in front of my potential avatar, I need to make sure that I can engage him because I have this much time to get Chad intrigued enough for him to say, all right, I'm curious. I'm open to a conversation. And then part of that initial discovery is, can I serve this person and are they a match for the kind of person I would want to partner with? So to answer your question on what's the nugget to start? Understand what your value proposition is, and you gotta convey it in a way that is relatable to whomever it is that you're talking to, because you don't know how much time they're willing to give you before they say yes or no.
Okay, so
go back a step. I'm not going to ask you to get into this yet. Would you agree that before you can even plan that, you have to know who it is you are looking for by creating the avatar of who is the ideal agent for me? Because then you can condition your elevator speech to target that person. The way Dawn started with, we partner with growth-minded. Folks, if you're not growth-minded, which is obviously the kind of agent she's looking for, you're going to tune out right then. If you're not someone who wants to partner with someone, you're going to tune out right then. You got to know who you're looking for. Then you can create the pitch of who you're looking for to talk to them about it. And then, Dawn, I'm going to bet you're pretty good at this. Then we flip where it doesn't become you talking and throwing up all over them. Well, we do this and we do that and we do the other thing. It becomes asking. You mentioned it earlier. We want to find out where they are, where they want to go so that you can create solutions in there. Do you have some go-to questions that our audience should be scribbling down when they get into a meeting with someone who says, yes, I'm a growth-minded person who's interested in partnering. Tell me more.
Right.
Some of those questions you might jump into.
Okay, so I call it the discovery meeting. In the discovery meeting, I usually allocate roughly about 60 minutes or so. The first at least 30 minutes is literally me just asking them questions and them talking. I am sharing very little to any information at all up front. And it starts with, I want to know, so how long have you been in real estate is number one. What did you do before real estate? Because what I'm looking for are characteristics, traits, and track record of that person to see if that's going to translate and transfer into our world. So I want to learn what they did before. What was it that led you to move into real estate? What I'm looking for there is, was it, I retired, or I didn't like this, or it was, sometimes it's just a horrific thing that person has been through that kind of forced them to have to change courses. So I want to kind of understand where they're coming from, and it gives me a little bit of insight into some interpersonal dynamics as well with that person. Then by
the way, send anybody who's been in the military, I'll take them. Like, I love that
routine.
That persona is just
But what you just said, Bob, right? That's exactly why.
That would be on your missing persons report at the beginning, right? I want military people.
That's exactly right. So I start with that. And then when we move into real estate, then I want to understand, where is their business now? And I always ask this after I understand where their business is. Well, first of all, I also want to know where it is. What leverage do they currently have? Because if they ever experienced leverage in any way, shape, or form? But then I ask, no matter where they tell me their production is, whether it's 10 units, 30 units, whatever it is, I say, if you've been doing 15 units for the last couple of years, that tells me that you're doing something right. So if you were going to bullet point for me what the successes of your business are, what would those be? I want to start with talking about things that are going to lift them up and praise them and celebrate them. Then I say, okay, great. I appreciate that. And I can see why you've had the success that you've had. Now, when you tell me where you're looking to go, let's flip the coin. So where are the gaps or the opportunities in your business? So things that have maybe been on your radar, you haven't had the manpower, the time, the P&L hasn't supported it. What are some of those gaps in your business? So then, and by the way, guys, oftentimes that list is actually longer than their successes list. Especially if you've given them enough time to share about themselves and they're starting to trust you and take down their wall, they're willing to be more transparent about where their gaps are. And then the last thing that I'll ask is, okay, so we've been talking about rearview mirror, where you've been, where you are. let's turn to the windshield. As you look ahead, take me out, say 3 years. Where would you like to see you? Where would you like to see the business? And then I ask them the reason, and I'm very intentional where you were in the business, because some people will say, I want to go from 10 units to 30 units. Others say, I want the business to grow and I want to be doing more charity work, or like it's just giving them an opportunity to share more about themselves. Now, what I end with before I start talking about the team, place, whatever it is I say, I appreciate you being so transparent and sharing all of this information with me. And I'll let you know there's really this conversation, this discovery meeting that we're doing. The first part of it where I'm learning so much about it, I'm actually assessing 2 things. First of all, I want to understand what your goals are to see if I can even serve you. Like you may get on here and say, you know what, I took this meeting because I've seen you out there and I know your name, or because so-and-so told me to talk to you, but I don't really want to grow. Like I'm cool to do 8 transactions a year. Like at that point, like I can't serve them. I would tell them, stay on your own. There's no need for you to even partner. And I will tell them the second thing that I'm doing is I'm assessing who you are as a human. Because frankly, I don't care how big someone's business is. If they aren't a good person and they aren't the kind of human with whom we would want to partner, then we find a really graceful way to exit the conversation. So, and what that does right there, guys, A, is it tells them, hey, I've already set the stage. I can serve you. Our team can serve you. And B is we protect our culture. And people can be really, really focused on that. Hopefully the right people are really focused on that. So that's kind of how I start the exploration process.
Okay. So if I'm sitting here, again, I always kind of take these interviews, Dawn, if I'm like on the other side, where do I find these people? Like, how do I start to get into relationships? Are you just calling random agents in the MLS and being like, hey, it's Dawn, how's it going? Like, where do you find people that are a potential partner? Let's stay in this kind of I'm recruiting an agent to my team lane, because I think we could have a whole discussion about the place side, or getting agents to your brokerage, or like you have expertise in so many places. But maybe I'm a team. I run a team. Where do I find agents that might be in need of help from me?
So I can give you a whole list, Bob, but I'm going to speak for myself.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of extra time because my main focus is growing place. So I don't have a whole lot of time to be calling co-op agents and to be doing that sort of thing. So I need to make sure that I am getting the most bang for my buck when I am looking for candidates for the team. So
Okay.
what I do is 2 things. I teach. I try to teach at least once a month in my market center, at my board, at my somewhere where I'm going to have a large audience, because I tend to think and speak maybe a little bit differently than what some other rainmakers and team leaders do out there. And so when I can get in front of a room and basically, I'm going to say it for this, the sake of this, recruit from the front of the room by them hearing the way that I think. Okay. And of course, I'll pepper in there things that the team does, the business does, to attract them and get them more curious. So teaching is one. The second one is like next week, there is a mastermind, and the second hour of the mastermind is just for people, Rainmaker masterminds. The first hour is for individual agents. So I'm sending 2 of my team members who really want to get into, they want to take advantage of revenue share, they want to build, they want to grow, and they're going to the individual agent one, and I'm going to the Rainmaker one, because I can also find potential allied team to partner with my team, and also potentially bigger teams to partner with Place. So that 1 2-hour event can knock down a lot of dominoes. And now here's the other thing that I did is I tasked one of my gals on my team that really wants to recruit. I said, I want you to call, his name's David Ames. I want you to call David and ask him for the roster. And here's how I want you to position it, because he may be like, oh, no, I can't show you. You can say, David, this is intended to be a mastermind. I want to make sure that I am bringing value to your event. And I also want to make sure that I'm getting value back out of the event. So I'd like to see the roster, which, by the way, I'm going to see who all these people are when I walk in the room. Right. Okay. So I'd like to, so I can be selective to make sure who I connect with and can bring value to them. What she's really doing is going, who's in that room so I can make sure that I'm talking to X, Y, and Z. And I had her set, here's how many people I'm going to connect with, and here's my goal on how many first-time discoveries I'm going to walk out of that session with. So that one session, I'm sending 2 of my agents and myself to get teams, getting the roster. So as you can see, at one event, we're doing some very purposeful and intentional preparation to make sure that we get the most bang for our buck.
Okay, put yourself out there. Like the umbrella I'd put over that is get out there.
Yes.
Right? Like I think in every one of our markets, there's these kind of opportunities, whether it's at your brokerage or like you said, at your board or
Bob, there's your co-op agent, right? Don't forget who you just did a transaction with that went well. Pick up that phone and have that. Even if you're not ready to recruit and grow, go have the discovery conversation that Dawn just shared with you, because think what a better relationship you now have with another agent in your board, that next time it's a multiple offer situation or you're on the opposite side of the transaction, even if you haven't led it down the path of recruiting, you have led it down the path of creating a relationship for yourself with those people.
That's right. The other thing to keep in mind, gentlemen, is that when someone says, well, I'm not going to go to that event because I don't really get that much out of them anymore. You know what I tell them? Don't go to that event expecting that you're going to get X amount of content. Go to that event expecting yourself to set 3 appointments. So switching their mindset, like everyone in that room from this roster is could be a candidate for your business. So in shifting that and challenging people to look at that differently, that's really opened up what events people are willing to go to, where we know there could be fruit that comes from that event.
I love that. Do you, so we just have a couple minutes left. This is an 8-hour conversation. Dawn, I think once a quarter at Place, we have 8 hours where we Place partners come and we talk about recruiting and we dive into like super deep. So I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Share something with me that somebody here could go kind of put into play this week around recruiting. And you can pull from anywhere, Dawn. You can pull from, I'm trying to get a partner to come join us at Place. I'm trying to get an agent to join my brokerage. I'm trying to get, I don't care where you go with all your deep knowledge of recruiting. Give me something that Chad and I should have asked you about that we miserably failed at.
How much time is someone willing to put into the process of bringing talent into their world to grow their business? They have to first commit that. If they say, you know what, I'm so committed to the growth of this organization and my world and succeeding through others, I'm willing to spend, 4 hours a week in doing X, Y, and Z, and then go, okay, how do I make the most use of that time? So Ben Kinney would say, I'm going to channel my inner Ben right now. And he would say, then you take an agent to coffee one time a week. So someone has to commit first, because if you don't commit, then it's very hard to be held accountable to what that commitment was. That's going to ultimately change your business. So they first have to start by looking in the mirror and saying, where do I want the business to go? What am I willing to commit to in my schedule? And then who's going to be my accountability partner around that? And the couple of people that are on my leadership team that want that growth and want revenue share and want all of that, I'm like, great. And I don't let them off the hook. They know, they share their goals with me because they know that I'm going to hold them accountable to it. So I would say, Bob, the first thing is they've got to get clarity themselves, or they're going to just be too scattered and all over the place and they're not going to see progress. Then they're going to get disenchanted and they're going to go, see, this recruitment thing doesn't work.
So I want to add 4 agents to my team this year, and I'm willing to commit an hour every day to doing it. That's where it starts. Then I got to go figure out my elevator pitch. Now I got to decide what rooms am I going to put myself in, what co-op agents, who am I going to call to look, what am I going to do with that hour essentially? And by the way, some days I won't spend an hour because I'll spend 2 hours tomorrow at that event. Right. But so I love that. Get started by deciding what you want and what you're willing to commit to getting it.
No different than a listing, Bob.
No different than a listing. And Chad, thank you, because you just kind of teed me up for the last thing I was going to say. So Chad, you're a listing agent. You've been in the business for 20 years. A seller calls you today and says, Chad, come pitch to me what you're going to do to sell my house. You're going to that listing appointment on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being like, oh my God, I don't think I can ever get this listing, to 10 being like, I'm walking out of that with a signed listing agreement. How would you rate yourself? 10.
I'm an 11. Yeah.
You're 11. Okay. So now, Chad, you're the rainmaker of a team. You're looking to get in business with talent. Maybe you're newer to recruiting, or maybe you are going, I don't want to do new agents anymore. I want to do experienced agents. And you go to one of these events, and a 20-unit producer, you start in conversation and you sit down with that person on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being like, I don't know what to say to them. I'm not, and 10 being like, they're signing with me. How would you rate yourself?
Me, or the example of who I
The
am?
example. The
2,
example.
maybe a 3 if I'm lucky.
Okay. So that is your answers right there. I usually get listing 8, 9, 10, recruiting, producing agent 2 to 5. Why? Because you don't have the at-bats at the latter, you do at the former. So what do you need to do to position yourself to be as good? You got to practice. You have to get training. You have to position. Like my one gal that is an allied team on my team, she's like, I want to be you someday. So when I do recruit appointments, she sits in there. She watches me. She watches my recordings. So you have, and she's doing the trainings that Place is putting on for us. So you have to position yourself to get better and not just be a victim. I'm not a recruiter. If you're committed to the growth of your organization and your people, you have to commit to what it's going to take to get you to be able to succeed like you do as a listing agent.
I love it. I love it. Dawn, like I said, we have 7.5 more hours we could go on this, but we are at the end of our time. Thank you for joining us. Yes. You got a bunch of hats. And so you just got done with I'm going to help you guys, your trainer hat. Thank you. Get back to all your other 20 hats that you're wearing today. Thanks for joining us, Dawn.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
We'll see you soon, Chad. I'll see you next week, buddy. Bye. Everybody.